the business betrayal reversal. In the heart of Lagos, a love story built on ambition, trust, and success begins to crumble, not with a fight, but with a secret. Jackie Ajayi thought she had everything: a thriving tech empire, a powerful marriage, and a best friend she trusted like a sister. But one night, a single discovery changed everything. Betrayal didn't come from enemies, it came from the two people closest to her. Instead of breaking down, Jackie did something no one expected. She didn't scream. She didn't confront them. She went silent and turned heartbreak into strategy. As her husband planned to walk away with his mistress, Jackie quietly rewrote the rules of power, restructuring the company, sealing ownership, and shifting control, all while they thought they were winning. And on the day he believed he was leaving her, he arrived to discover he had already lost everything. This is not just a story about betrayal. It's a story about intelligence, dignity, and the kind of strength that doesn't shout, it executes. Welcome to Africanstories by Frank Asada. Where are you watching from? Before we dive into the business betrayal reversal story, we encourage you to rate the video and a comment below. Let us know where you are watching from. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, so that you will be the first to be notified of our next video coming up. Jackie Ajayi had been simmering with irritation ever since Freddie called to say he had an impromptu dinner meeting with his team and wouldn't be home in time for the meal she'd prepared. His tone sounded rehearsed, and the timing felt all too convenient, especially after weeks of emotional distance and vague explanations about late nights. Frustrated and unwilling to eat alone again, Jackie decided to drive to the house of her longtime friend and former college roommate, Melissa Badowo, to invite her out to the new restaurant Jackie had been excited to try. She figured companionship and laughter would cool her temper before she confronted Freddie later. Jackie parked outside Melissa's home, replaying memories of shared secrets, exams, and years of sister-like trust. What she had no idea of, what would soon shatter everything, was that the two people she trusted most were hiding a devastating betrayal behind her back, one that began long before this evening and had now reached a point of no return. As Jackie stepped out of her car, the first thing she noticed was Freddie's silver SUV parked in front of Melissa's house, its engine still slightly warm. Confusion hit before suspicion, then suspicion hardened into dread. Freddie was supposed to be across town with colleagues, not here. Moving slowly, almost instinctively, Jackie walked around the side of the house and tried the back door. To her shock, it was unlocked. She slipped quietly inside, guided by low murmurs and soft laughter drifting from upstairs. With trembling steps, she climbed the staircase and stopped when she reached Melissa's bedroom doorway. There, she froze. Freddie and Melissa were together in bed, wrapped in intimacy and arguments. Melissa's voice rose in frustration as she complained about waiting for Freddie to leave his wife, while Freddie pleaded for more time, promising he was arranging details for a future with her. Jackie's heart pounded as she recorded every word on her phone, capturing the confession, the betrayal, and the plans made at her expense. Jackie stood motionless in the hallway, phone shaking in her hand, and suddenly her mind drifted back to the beginning, to college days when she and Melissa first shared a tiny dorm room, laughing late into the night about dreams and love and the futures they hoped to build. They studied together, encouraged one another through exams, and promised loyalty that felt unbreakable. Jackie remembered the day she first met Freddie at a campus networking mixer. She hadn't been impressed. He seemed overly ambitious, too smooth with his compliments. It was Melissa, bright-eyed and persuasive, who nudged Jackie into giving him a chance, insisting Freddie was genuine and driven in a way that would match Jackie's energy. Jackie trusted her friend's instincts back then. She had believed their friendship was a foundation she could never doubt. Standing outside that bedroom now, the weight of those memories twisted painfully inside her, revealing how naive she had once been. Her mind wandered further back to their early social days, the evenings when she, Melissa, Freddie, and Freddie's friend Connor spent hours hopping between small Lagos cafes, rooftop lounges, and beach bonfire gatherings. The four of them formed what felt like an inseparable circle of companionship and ambition. Freddie would tease Jackie for being serious and focused, while Connor joked that Melissa's laugh could fill a whole room. Their group outings were full of shared jokes, harmless flirting dynamics, and youthful excitement about life after graduation. Jackie remembered how Freddie slowly softened her skepticism with patience and charm, how he showed interest in her goals rather than just her beauty. Melissa, always nearby, would smile whenever Freddie and Jackie grew closer, encouraging their relationship as if it made her genuinely happy. Back then, Jackie believed those were the happiest years of their friendship, never once imagining that seeds of jealousy had been quietly taking root beneath Melissa's smiles. What Jackie did not know at the time was that Melissa's support had gradually turned into regret and envy. Somewhere along the line, Melissa realized she was drawn to Freddie's confidence, ambition, and warmth. Instead of stepping back, she allowed bitterness to fester in silence, replaying the moment she encouraged Jackie to embrace him and wishing she had kept him for herself. As Freddie and Jackie's bond deepened, Melissa's resentment grew into quiet longing and self-reproach. She masked it with supportive words while secretly resenting her own choice. Over time, admiration became temptation, and temptation became justification. Melissa convinced herself that she deserved what Jackie had, that fate had cheated her out of the love she believed could have been hers. Jackie never suspected any of it, she trusted Melissa completely. Those hidden emotions, unspoken and corrosive, would one day transform into betrayal powerful enough to fracture every bond they once cherished. Years passed after graduation, and life unfolded beautifully for Jackie and Freddie. Their careers blossomed, and Freddie eventually proposed in an elegant, heartfelt ceremony that left Jackie speechless with joy. His family visited Jackie's wealthy and influential relatives on Lagos Island to formally announce the engagement, and both families celebrated with laughter, music, and tradition. Jackie's parents gifted the couple generous financial support as a wedding present, believing they were launching two brilliant minds into a promising future together. Melissa attended the engagement ceremony smiling, clapping, hugging Jackie tightly, yet deep inside, conflicting emotions churned. Jackie remembered the happiness she felt then, unaware that beneath Melissa's warm congratulations lay a battle between friendship, regret, and forbidden affection. That moment should have been a foundation of loyalty, but instead, it marked the beginning of a silent fracture neither woman fully understood yet. With the support of Jackie's parents, Jackie and Freddie launched a startup tech company, their dream project and joint legacy. They poured their wedding gift funding into office space, equipment, and hiring a small but determined team. Jackie handled operations and finances with sharp discipline, while Freddie led partnerships and outreach, networking tirelessly across Lagos and beyond. They envisioned themselves as partners in love and business, building something that would outlast them both. Melissa visited their small office occasionally, bringing snacks or offering encouragement, always welcomed as family. To Jackie, those visits symbolized sisterhood and unity. She never imagined that Melissa watched Freddie closely during those moments, noticing his drive, his charm with clients, and the quiet tenderness he reserved for Jackie. The foundation of success they built together became the very platform where unspoken emotions, ambition, admiration, and jealousy began weaving a dangerous web beneath the surface. The early years of the business were far from glamorous. Jackie and Freddie endured sleepless nights, endless financial stress, and moments of doubt so heavy that quitting sometimes felt tempting. They worked 60 to 80-hour weeks, shared takeout meals at their desks, and dealt with disappointed investors and unpredictable clients. Jackie carried the pressure intensely, determined to protect the company and justify her parents' faith in them. Freddie admired her discipline but often felt suffocated by the relentless grind. The emotional toll weighed heavily on their marriage. Arguments about priorities, exhaustion, and future plans became frequent companions to their success journey. Yet through hardship, they stayed committed, at least on the surface, believing the struggle would one day give way to comfort, balance, and reward. What neither realized was that stress had opened cracks in their relationship, the kind of cracks where vulnerability, and eventually betrayal, could slip in unnoticed. After 3 grueling years, their perseverance finally paid off. Contracts multiplied, revenue stabilized, and recognition flowed in from industry events and press features. Their company transformed from a fragile startup into a thriving enterprise. Freddie, feeling relief for the first time in years, believed it was time to slow down and reclaim life outside the office. He wanted evenings filled with laughter, relaxation, and renewed intimacy with his wife. Jackie, however, felt the opposite. Success made her more cautious, fearful that easing control might endanger everything they had fought for. Their differences widened. Freddie saw rest as healing, Jackie saw rest as risk. The tension between them deepened, creating emotional distance and resentment. Freddie longed to feel seen again, to feel valued beyond meetings, strategy calls, and financial deadlines. Instead, he felt increasingly lonely in his own marriage, unable to reach the woman he once felt inseparable from. Believing delegation would save their relationship, Freddie began transferring responsibilities to capable team members so he and Jackie could rebuild their personal bond. He proposed vacations, quiet dinners, and weekends away, hoping to revive warmth and closeness. Jackie resisted, insisting their company still needed constant supervision. The more she pushed forward, the more Freddie felt shut out, as though the business had taken his place in Jackie's heart. Frustration turned into emotional exhaustion. He felt unseen, unheard, and unwanted, even though Jackie's distance came from fear rather than rejection. Their arguments became sharper, filled with misunderstanding rather than malice. Freddie convinced himself that he was sacrificing happiness for a marriage that no longer valued him, unaware that Jackie, burdened by responsibility, believed she was protecting everything they had built together. The emotional disconnect grew so intense that Freddie eventually sought comfort outside their marriage, not in passion at first, but in conversation. He drove to Melissa's house one evening, believing that because she was Jackie's closest friend, she might help him understand how to reach his wife again. Melissa listened compassionately, masking her secret delight at being trusted with his vulnerability. What began as emotional consolation slowly crossed into dangerous intimacy. Loneliness fed temptation, suppressed desire answered opportunity. One evening, during quiet conversation and unspoken longing, Melissa crossed a line, and Freddie, aching for connection, didn't resist. What started as a single moment became a secret affair, hidden behind half-truths and guilt. Freddie convinced himself it was temporary, a misguided escape until his marriage recovered. But Melissa saw it as fate aligning at last, even if it meant tearing apart the woman who once called her sister. And now, standing there in that doorway, heart pounding, phone recording, betrayal unfolding in painful detail, Jackie finally saw the truth neither time nor excuses could soften. The affair wasn't an accident of loneliness or stress. It was the collision of buried jealousy, emotional neglect, ambition, and deception built over years. Freddie's pleas for patience, Melissa's demands for marriage, and every whispered lie sliced through Jackie's spirit. The woman she trusted most had stolen what she thought was safe. The man she built a life with had traded loyalty for comfort. In that devastating moment, Jackie did not scream, did not reveal herself. Instead, she stepped silently back down the stairs, carrying proof of their betrayal and a heart forever changed, already calculating not revenge fueled by rage, but a calm, powerful reversal that would reshape everything they believed belonged to them. Jackie drove home that night with tears drying silently on her cheeks, but the pain slowly hardened into clarity. Confrontation would give Freddie time to prepare, excuses, manipulation, emotional guilt. No, she would not scream, beg, or collapse. She would think. She would act. She replayed the recording again and again, not as a wounded wife but as a strategist, a woman who built an empire brick by brick and understood leverage better than love. By dawn, she had written a list: attorneys, auditors, private investigators, trustees, board allies, banking contacts. She smiled bitterly at the irony. Freddie's betrayal had given her the final push to protect the company she had always feared losing. He believed she was too emotional, too devoted, too trusting. He never understood that the same discipline that built their business could also dismantle him quietly, legally, permanently. Jackie walked into the office that morning calm, composed, and colder than marble, not as a wife in crisis, but as a CEO preparing for war. Her first move was restructuring ownership. With her family's financial backing and the original seed documentation, Jackie initiated a forensic review of equity records. The lawyers discovered what she already suspected: most of the company's intellectual property, major contracts, and core operational filings were registered under her name. Freddie had always trusted her to handle documentation while he enjoyed public visibility. Now, that trust became his weakness. Jackie transferred silent controlling shares into a protective trust managed through her family estate, locking ownership in a structure Freddie could not access or challenge without exposing his financial dependence on her parents' original investment. She signed paperwork with steady hands, each signature a quiet declaration of independence. She didn't need revenge fueled by anger, she needed precision, patience, and finality. By the time Freddie noticed changes in internal permissions and governance structures, the foundation beneath him would already be gone, replaced by clauses, votes, and signatures that sealed his fate long before he realized the battle had even begun. Next, Jackie strengthened alliances. She met with senior executives privately, those who respected her work ethic and leadership, and framed the restructuring as a stability and continuity initiative. She emphasized operational accountability, ethical governance, and risk mitigation, never once mentioning the word betrayal. She listened, took notes, and empowered them with clearer roles and performance incentives, quietly shifting loyalty away from Freddie. At board level, she leveraged her family's influence and investor trust to secure votes granting her full executive authority during transitionary review. The language was neutral, professional, impossible to oppose without appearing irresponsible. Freddie had underestimated how deeply people respected Jackie's diligence over his charisma. While he entertained illusions of freedom with Melissa, Jackie was reinforcing a fortress around herself brick by brick. By the end of the week, Freddie still believed he was co-captain of the empire. In reality, he had already become a symbolic figure, a decorative signature waiting to be erased. Behind the scenes, Jackie's investigators uncovered financial irregularities, Freddie's personal spending disguised as business expenses, hotel transactions, unexplained withdrawals. Nothing criminal, but enough to establish a pattern of mismanagement. She archived everything, receipts, timestamps, location records, and sealed them in compliance reports reviewed by corporate counsel. Not once did she accuse him. Not once did she raise her voice. Instead, she let documentation speak. She initiated an internal ethics audit, one Freddie assumed was routine. He even joked about bureaucracy slowing down innovation, unaware the process was methodically tightening around him. Each report repositioned him from visionary founder to operational risk. The more evidence assembled, the more justifiable his eventual removal became, not as punishment for infidelity, but as a leadership restructuring for organizational integrity. Jackie understood the difference between personal revenge and strategic power. One fades. The other endures. She was no longer a betrayed wife, she had become the architect of consequence. Meanwhile, Melissa waited impatiently for Freddie's promise to materialize, the divorce, the new life, the luxurious future he had painted in whispers. She daydreamed of becoming the wife of a wealthy tech executive, convinced fate had finally rewarded her long-nurtured longing. Freddie fed the fantasy, unaware that the ground beneath him was disintegrating. He spoke confidently about withdrawing equity, stepping back from stressful operations, and starting a new chapter. Melissa believed every word. She didn't see the tightening financial controls, the legal barriers, the diminishing authority behind his reassuring tone. Jackie never crossed paths with her, never hinted at awareness. The silence made Melissa careless. She thought victory was near. She never realized she was betting her future on a man whose empire no longer belonged to him, a man standing proudly in a building where every wall now answered to Jackie alone. The final stage came quietly. One Monday morning, the board convened for what Freddie assumed was a quarterly strategy session. He arrived confident, rehearsing talking points, imagining himself as a soon-to-depart leader transitioning gracefully into a freer life with Melissa. Instead, he found legal counsel present, compliance officers seated, and Jackie chairing the meeting with calm composure. The agenda revealed a performance review outlining fiduciary inconsistencies, leadership absenteeism, and governance breaches, all documented and irrefutable. Freddie tried to interrupt, but every objection led back to policies he himself had once approved. 1 vote. 2 votes. 3. Unanimous. Effective immediately, his executive privileges were suspended pending dissolution of role and compensation review. His access would be restricted for security compliance. Jackie thanked him courteously for his contributions. There was no anger in her voice. No tears. Just finality, professional, surgical, absolute. When Freddie walked back to his office in disbelief, his keycard failed. His email account returned an access denied notice. His files were archived under legal custody. Security stood nearby, polite, calm, but firm. A box of personal belongings sat neatly on his desk, already packed. He stared at it, realizing the company he believed he controlled had quietly moved past him. His legacy now belonged to signatures, votes, and trust beyond his reach. He looked at Jackie through the glass wall. She was in a meeting, poised, focused, already running the business without him. No tears. No acknowledgement. No farewell. For the first time, Freddie understood that betrayal wasn't what destroyed him. Underestimating Jackie did. The woman he abandoned had not crumbled. She had removed him with the same discipline he once admired and now feared. Melissa waited eagerly at a cafe across town, expecting triumphant news, the divorce announcement, the beginning of their glamorous future. Instead, Freddie arrived pale, shaken, stripped of certainty. He explained in fragments: restructuring, removal, frozen accounts, legal review. The empire she thought she was inheriting had vanished overnight. Without the company, Freddie was not a powerful executive. He was a man without authority, income leverage, or stability. Melissa's face shifted from sympathy to panic, then disappointment. Reality replaced fantasy. She realized she had built her future on someone else's foundation, and Jackie now owned all of it. Freddie reached for reassurance, but Melissa pulled away, already reconsidering the cost of loyalty without reward. The affair had ended not in triumph, but in emptiness. Standing across from him, she saw not a savior, but a consequence. Back at the company, staff moved forward smoothly under Jackie's leadership. Operations stabilized, decisions accelerated, and morale strengthened. People who once saw Freddie as the charismatic center now recognized the quiet force Jackie had always been. She didn't celebrate his downfall. There was no public humiliation, no grand speeches. She simply worked, steady, focused, deliberate, protecting the company, protecting herself, protecting every hour of sacrifice that built their organization. The silence that once hid betrayal now protected her victory. Power did not roar, it whispered and prevailed. And while Freddie scrambled to understand how everything disappeared, Jackie stood on the same foundation he tried to abandon, stronger than ever, not because she destroyed him, but because she refused to let him destroy what she built. Freddie tried calling her that night, apology, justification, confusion, every message a mix of guilt and desperation. Jackie did not respond. Not out of cruelty, but completion. Their marriage had ended long before the betrayal. She had simply signed the final chapter with dignity instead of chaos. She forwarded communication to legal counsel and requested separation mediation strictly through formal channels. There would be no emotional negotiations, no pleading reconciliations. The woman he once assumed would forgive and endure had outgrown the role he assigned her. Freddie finally understood that love is fragile, but self-respect, when awakened, becomes immovable. Melissa faded quietly from the story, not with dramatic confrontation but with the weight of consequence. She withdrew, ashamed yet resentful, realizing she had gambled friendship, respect, and identity for a future that never existed. For the rest of her life, she would remember Jackie not as the naive friend she betrayed, but as the woman who never raised her voice, never fought for a man, yet still won everything that mattered. Betrayal cost Melissa more than love, it stripped away illusion. She walked away knowing she had lost both Freddie and Jackie, and gained nothing in return but silence and regret. Months later, Jackie stood in her office overlooking Lagos Island, the city lights flickering beneath the night sky. The company was thriving under her leadership. She had rebuilt her life not from vengeance, but from clarity. Betrayal had not broken her, it had refined her. She understood now that strength isn't loud, and justice isn't always delivered by confrontation. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply removing someone from the power they abused and reclaiming the space they once overshadowed. Jackie closed her laptop gently, exhaled, and walked toward a future she now owned completely, not as a wounded wife, but as a woman who chose dignity over destruction, strategy over chaos, and self-worth over betrayal. Reflection. Jackie's journey is a reminder that strength does not always reveal itself through confrontation or anger. Sometimes it appears in restraint, strategy, and self-preservation. Instead of reacting to betrayal with chaos, she chose clarity, discipline, and purpose. Her response proved that power does not belong to the loudest voice, but to the person who understands timing, truth, and self-worth. Freddie believed he could break her spirit and still control the world they built together, but Jackie reclaimed both her life and her legacy by refusing to be diminished. Melissa learned, too late, that betrayal built on illusion cannot survive reality. In the end, Jackie did not simply survive the heartbreak, she transformed it into wisdom, dignity, and sovereignty over her own. Moral lessons. Strength is not proven in confrontation, it is revealed in discipline. True power is the ability to respond with clarity instead of chaos, strategy instead of impulse. Betrayal does not break strong people, it reveals who never deserved their loyalty. When trust is violated, character stands taller than revenge. Silence can be sharper than anger. Sometimes the greatest victory is not in shouting back, but in quietly removing those who meant you harm from the space they once occupied. Love may build a home, but self-respect is what allows a person to stay standing when that home collapses. Dignity is the foundation that endures after heartbreak. Not every battle requires confrontation, some require intelligence, patience, and timing. Justice can be strategic, measured, and precise. True partnership is built on loyalty, not convenience. When a person values comfort over commitment, they eventually lose both. Greed, envy, and disloyalty always cost more than they promise. Betrayal may offer illusion, but truth always calls the final death. A strong heart does not seek revenge, it seeks freedom. Letting go of what harms you is more powerful than destroying it. Character outlives charm. When admiration fades and circumstances change, integrity is the only quality that still holds value. The most powerful transformation happens when pain becomes wisdom instead of bitterness. Survival is not the victory, growth is. Thank you for watching. Please leave comments. Like, share and subscribe so that you will be the first to be notified of our next video coming up.